everybody. It is Brandon Foster, confidence coach of the top 1%, mindset expert, and perpetual lifelong encourager to all of the badass people out there. I am here with my amazing friend, Katie Jameson, who has been a longtime client, even pre-Born to Slay, but is actually here today to talk about her experience with Born to Slay. And I'm sure, Katie, as we talk about this, some things will blend together and maybe some of it was pre-Born to Slay. It doesn't really matter. I'm just excited you're here today. So thank you for being here.
I am so happy to be here and to chat about my experience with Born to Slay and with working with you.
I am too, because full disclosure, can I be honest with you live for
Absolutely.
people that are going to watch this later? I've been wanting to get a testimonial from you for a long time. But I've always been so impressed with your progress and how far you've come. It's always been well, maybe not yet. How much further is she going to go? And then I feel like at some point it was just she's never going to stop growing. She's never going to stop slaying. So we might as well just film it as a midpoint almost. And then we just get to see how much further it goes together.
That's totally true. And that's actually what I was going to talk about, is just the layers of continuing to reframe and grow and keep growing. And actually this is the perfect timing, because one of the pieces of everything I've learned and grown through with working with you and with Born to Slay led me to returning to France a few weeks ago. And I have new layers of clarity and goals and things that I am unlocking. And it's the perfect timing to talk about all this.
I love that. I love that so much. So why don't we start by just people, because I know who you are, but they don't know who you are. So can you, because we did meet right through Careers on Vacation, but can you explain, because more than just your travel business, you own another business, you do a lot of different things. So can you just kind of shed in some light and some background into where you're from and how you bless the world with your amazing gifts and talents in work?
So by working with you, I've gotten very clear on how I do that. And I like to use my skills to connect, inspire, and uplift others. So that is the energy that I put into everything I do. And I do have two businesses. So I run a professional association and nonprofit business where I do, contract executive director work and other types of events. And I do a lot of STEM outreach programs. So a lot of giving to kids to encourage them to consider STEM as careers. And then decided to add travel a few years ago. So that is how we met through Careers on Vacation. And then working with you, spent a lot of time deciding how I was going to integrate all of this. And ultimately decided that the best way was to keep growing and building some teams. And so I've been able to start adding to my team to keep using my skills in these areas where I can give to others, whether it's planning someone's vacation to Disney or their immersive experience in France. And then also continuing to do my STEM programs, which are very near and dear to my heart, where I get to work with a lot of amazing people.
That is amazing. Although I am 10% bitter about your STEM programs, because I know that's preventing you from coming to my retreat. But here's what I love. I love that we love each other so much. I can be I fully support you, and also not hide that I am a little bit bitter you're not going to be there.
I know February is full on math counts, and that is my math counts month. So I will be there in spirit.
I love it. Yes, I love to have Katie Jameson spirit there with me. Absolutely. So why don't we start and just tell everybody what has been your biggest win inside of Born to Slay? And then I'm just going to go ahead and answer this question for you, because everyone asks it. They go, mindset or practical? We want both. We want both. Okay. So give me your biggest practical win first, and then mindset.
Okay. So I have been implementing a lot of this for a while now, which I think is great, because you can do the program, work with Brandon. And where it really comes into play is you continue doing it. So the mindset work comes in because, it's the confidence, it's the clarity, And then the practical piece of just keep going, right? So like every unlocking new layers and continuing to integrate areas that I want to grow and how I want to serve and show up and serve people in the world, and shedding the things that no longer serve me and having the confidence to continue doing that. And so, like I said, I just went to France, and that's, you know, people travel to France. Well, this is a very big piece of my background, having a background in French and spending a lot of time in France. And I completely unlocked new layers of clarity of what I want to do. And now I'm not spinning my wheels trying to figure out what to do, because I already have the skills and the base that I learned to start implementing it.
That is amazing. That is fantastic. So in terms of just like, I feel like for you, there's two different pieces that I would really love for you to elaborate a little bit more on. One is just like growth in sales. And the other one is time freedom, because a big piece of what we have worked together is, and I feel like, you know, everyone wants to know about sales. And honestly, like sales is like one piece of being a badass entrepreneur, because like you could have a shit ton of sales, but do you have profit? And you could also have a shit ton of sales and profit, but are you spending time with your family? Like, are you having more freedom in your life? So can you just elaborate on some of those kinds of wins?
Yeah. So what I really loved about Born to Slay, especially with the sales component, is the heart-centered selling. Because that is the root of all of it. You know, you have to believe in what you're doing, and finding the ways that you bring that to serve people. It's not sales, it's how you're serving other people. And I really felt like I got a next layer of clarity on that as I was working through this program. And then in terms of time, probably the crispest way to say this is breaking up with old patterns, right? Like things that needed to be broken up with. Get out of your own way and break up with those patterns that were keeping me in a cycle of, you know, no time for other things.
I love that. Something else I would love for you to share about, and you're going to know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say it out loud unless you're comfortable sharing with it. But you have, well, one piece I am and one piece I'm not, and you're going to know what the other piece is. But you are a cancer survivor.
Yep.
Which is incredible, incredible. You're also a survivor of another emotional trauma that a lot of moms have experienced that I don't think any mom would ever want to go through. So one of the pieces that I feel like the world needs to hear is that your personal life circumstances impact your business. And if you don't heal those, you cut off amazing possibilities inside of your business because you're not going to show up the same way. Can you talk about those two experiences, or at least the cancer survivor one, and share how healing that has benefited your business?
Yeah, actually, this is great timing because October is pregnancy loss and infant loss awareness month.
I didn't know that. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, so I actually just wrote a piece about it the other day and put it up on my feed. So going through a lot of life upheaval with those two things, and a lot of other things, you know, creates a lot of layers of grief. And in deciding to jump into being an entrepreneur, you have to find ways to channel that, right? So by doing the work with you and, you know, some other very deep work, what it does is it unleashes a layer of freedom for me to show up and serve other people. And I've been able to get a lot clearer on that. And so when, especially with travel, when people come to me and they may be traveling for some reason that involves grief or some layer of anxiety, it's very easy to cut through the clutter and kind of fill those gaps that people need to really go and experience something they're looking for. And doing the mindset work for myself was really big on being able to get clear about how I can serve others in that way.
That is beautiful. I love that tremendously.
Okay.
So what surprised you about Born to Slay? As someone who's done Confident AF, I don't remember everything that you done, but you did Confident AF for sure. You did, right? Like,
no, I didn't. No, because it
never
wasn't out yet when I started working with you, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so you haven't
We
done
just
that.
started working together, and then we did Born to Slay. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for setting that record straight. As you can see, like everything starts to blend together after a while.
Yeah, it does.
So, where was I going with this? What surprised you inside of Born to Slay that previously our work, maybe, you didn't learn or whatever, because I think there's that other layer of people who maybe have worked with me in other respects or listen to my podcast or listen, to the live trainings. What did you, when you were going through Born to Slay, like what surprised you? What resonated with you?
I would say less surprised, but more the clarity on how it all comes together, by the time you get to the end of it, because you really need to clear the air and get a base layer, and then how it all comes back around and is applicable to, your personal life, but also how your business is going to grow. And I really like how it has this base layer, and then at the end you have the business components of the heart-centered selling and some of those next layers of growth, so that you can continue to keep moving. It has kind of a perpetuity, I guess I would say.
I love it. Perpetuity.
Yeah.
Yes, because I did create it so you could come back to it on every single level. And that was my intention. And then God just delivers like he always does. Amazing. Second question. That's not second question, but like after that question, what was the ripple effects that had on your personal life? You're a mom, you're a wife, you're also a leader. So what was the ripple effect?
I'm going to sum this up by the word joy. It created space for me just to add layers of joy back into my life that had been dormant for a while.
I love it. That's fantastic. Okay. So what is it like working with me? I've had a lot of people say a lot of really amazing things. They've said, oh, what have they said recently? They said, like, I don't hold back, like, be prepared, like, we're going to go deep. And they are surprised at how deep I go. And I can't take credit for this, but I get these crazy epiphanies during my one-on-ones that are completely divine downloads. How would you describe your personal experience working with me one-on-one?
Okay, you're gonna laugh and probably roll your eyes at this, but if Brandon burps, it's about to get real.
That is so funny. If I burp, it's about to get real. Oh my goodness. So we've talked about this. Can you, for people who don't know or aren't aware, like, what does burping mean on a one-on-one call with me?
Well, what it means is that you are basically getting a lot of clarity yourself on what you are very skilled at getting to the root of, like, what's behind something that might be a block for somebody. And this is just your sign of, like, there is some kind of divine download coming and it's going to be epic every single time.
So for those of you who aren't aware, your emotional center, the brain of your emotions, is your stomach. So oftentimes when I'm doing these calls, because I'm such a big empathizer, I can feel and tune into other people's emotions. In fact, something that my coach has worked on me forever is making sure that I separate y'all's emotions, whoever I'm coaching, versus my own, because I'm actually not a very emotional person. My emotions are actually what other people feel more than anything else, which is, like, I guess, a superpower that God gave me. But when those emotions are moving in my stomach, sometimes we burp. Oh, that's so funny.
The whole point of bringing that up, though, was your skill set of really getting, you can talk surface layer about, oh, I want to grow in this sales. I want to do this with my business. But if you're not understanding the root of what might be blocking you from getting there, you're not going to get there. And having, working with somebody like you and your amazing skill set to just get behind and see the root of that is extremely valuable.
I love it. So obviously, for people who have maybe done a digital course or worked with me in another mastermind, or, seen my podcast or whatever, doing this container is very, very different. What would you say are some of those key differences versus the other work that I do?
I think it's next layer. So you know, it's important to assess like where you're at and what your goals are and where you're starting with something. But if you're really looking to dive deep and get to that next level, especially in stepping into a CEO role, this is the right fit, because the best way to grow a business is to deal with your own stuff first.
Yes. And in fact, so like something that I've realized as a leader, Katie, is like every emotional insecurity, unhealed wound you had will show itself
Yep.
when you are in a leadership role, like every
100%.
single time, all the live one day.
Yep.
So what would you say to someone who is feeling that heart tug, but is like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know if I feel safe to be vulnerable and share, or I don't know if I feel safe to invest in myself at that level. What would you say to someone who is on the fence?
It's really about taking a chance on yourself because you're worth it.
I love that. And I preach that all the time. You are worth it. You are worth it. You are worth it. You are worth the investments. You are worth healing. You are worth becoming your next level. And here's the other thing too. I talk a lot about co-creation.
Yep.
And you are worth believing that God, or if God takes you out, universe loves, adores, and supports you. And like you have so much love and it's grace. You don't have to do it all on your own, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Anything else you want to share or add? You can say, if you already talked about me burping, so at this point, like you can say pretty much anything, boo.
I thought it was an important thing to share. Maybe it doesn't come up in other chats because there's like a new layer of clarity when that occurs.
I love it. I'm gonna that will probably be like a reel or like a story and be like, check Katie's testimonial. She talks about my superpower of burping and what that means during one-on-one calls.
I love it. I'm
All
here
right.
for that.
All right.
The last thing I have to say is it's just gratitude. You know, thank you, and full gratitude is what I have to say.
Well, a full gratitude for you for trusting in my crazy ideas and my crazy heart and what I want to give to the world. I appreciate you so much for everything that you've allowed me to do to serve you. So the feeling is completely mutual and I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, boo, I'm going to hit stop and I love you all. If you guys want more information, I don't know, maybe there's a link down there, or you can email Awesome Assistant, or, you know, just follow me and find me in all the places. Bye, everybody.